So here's a question: how is a bad list created? I get asked this question quite a bit. And this actually is really comes down to an issue of responsibility and ethics. The most common way that a bad list is created is through scraping. Scraping with email is sending either bots or humans out into the internet, to the web, to pull email addresses off of websites. And then people will take that and they'll compile it. And you have compilers on compilers on compilers that put together these giant lists. Now, of course, no one's consented to be contacted here because none of these email addresses were gathered through legitimate means, so there's no opt-in. And there's no authentication, because you could have doctors all with similar names or the same name. You end up having one email address and they ascribe it to several different doctors. You can end up having manufacturing. And this would be that if you knew the email address of one doctor at a hospital, and then you call up and you say, I'd like to purchase the physician roster at that hospital, which they will gladly sell you the names of the doctors that work there. They could manufacture every other email address there based on the first name and the last name. So when we talk about people who are potentially scraping or manufacturing email addresses, not only does this not help us in terms of meeting physician preferences for contact, it's actually illegal under the CAN-SPAM Act. So today we're going to take a little test. We're going to take a test that'll tell us how to know if the list that you've either purchased or partnered for is authenticated. And we've got 5 questions that you will want to ask anyone you would ever potentially get an email list from. The first question on this test is to ask the vendor for the source of that list. If they give you an easy answer and it doesn't sound right, keep pressing them. They should be able to give you the source, the exact source, all the sources of that list. If they can, great, give them an authentication point. The second one is that you'll want to ask them to be able to get a reference from at least a handful of these sources. Bare minimum 1, I would think they would be set up to be able to provide references from all of their sources, but you definitely want some of them. The next thing you're going to want to do is you are going to want to ask them for a sample of their list. They should be able to give you 10,000 records for you to just take a look at. How many email addresses on there are personal? And by personal, I mean your Gmails, your Yahoos, your Hotmails. You want there to be a lot of personal email on that list. If it's all institutional email addresses, chances are they manufactured it or they scraped it. You want to also look at the domains that are there. And you want to ensure that they look reasonable for being healthcare domains or domains that would be relevant to healthcare providers. Number 4. You want to ask them, how often can I get a refresh of this list? Their answer should be every 2 weeks. They should be willing to give you a refresh of this list every 2 weeks. If they're not, if they say, well, we refresh once every 2 months, or we refresh once every 6 months, every month you're going to lose 2% of that list to attrition. Every month, 2% of emails go dark. So if they're not updating you every 2 weeks or once a month, with refreshed additional email addresses, replacement email addresses, and letting you know what email addresses are no longer viable, you're bound to hit a spam trap, or you're bound to lose your list over time. So you need to be able to get an authenticated, updated, validated, refreshed list from them every 2 weeks, every month at the longest. And finally, number 5, you want to ask, are you deploying yourself with this list? If they're not deploying themselves with this list, then they won't know who's opening these emails, who's not opening them, who's opting out, what emails have gone dark. Unless they're doing deployments, they can't tell you any of that data, and that's the data that you need to know. Being able to take a look at that deployment data is the key to ensuring that the list you get is the best possible list. So our assignment this week, if you've purchased a list, if you're currently using a list from a vendor, I want us to go back and ask these questions of the vendor of that list or the partner that gave you that list. So go back to them, ask them for the sources. If they give you the sources, ask them for the references. Once they give the references, give those references a call. Figure out how they're putting together the list. And beyond that, then we want to take a look. What is the mix? Is it mostly personal email? Is some of it institutional email? Or is most of it institutional email? Try and do a quick calculation, rough calculation, figure that out. And then take a look. How often are they refreshing this? Ask them if you can get a refresh more frequently. Say, can I get a refresh every 2 weeks? Beyond that, you want to ask them, are they deploying it? Can they give you deployment data from that list? Can they tell you who's active? Are they ensuring that the most active email address is the one that's being provided to you every month? If they score a perfect 5, great. If they don't, consider talking to us. I can guarantee you that DMD's list scores the perfect 5. This has been DMD Dialogue. We'll see you next time.